The morning is still unfinished. The sky is neither dark nor bright. It exists in between. A pale gray stretches above the hills. The Tiber River moves slowly. So slowly that it almost appears frozen. The surface reflects the faint light of dawn. A thin mist rests above the water. It does not rush away. It lingers. There is no sound of armies. No echo of marching boots. No distant horns. Only the quiet breathing of a small settlement beside a river. The huts are simple. Walls of packed earth. Roofs of wood and straw. Smoke curls upward from a single opening in the roof. The smoke moves gently, as if even it does not wish to disturb the silence. Inside one of these huts, a man wakes. He does not wake suddenly. He opens his eyes slowly. He listens first to the faint sound of wind outside, to the shifting of animals nearby, to the quiet rhythm of breathing beside him. He rises, not because history calls him, but because the day requires him. Outside, the air is cool. His feet press against damp soil. He walks toward a small enclosure of sheep. The animals stir. Soft sounds. Hooves against dirt. Nothing dramatic. Nothing urgent. Just another morning. Another ordinary beginning. This is how Rome begins. Not with triumph. Not with declaration. But with repetition. With daily tasks. With people who do not know they stand at the beginning of a story. A woman walks toward the river. She carries a clay jar against her hip. Each step is careful. Measured. The earth is uneven. The path is worn but narrow. She reaches the water. The river does not resist. She kneels. The jar lowers. Water fills it slowly. The sound is soft. Gentle. Steady. She rises. Turns. Walks back. The sun now lifts slightly higher. Light touches the tops of the hills. The settlement becomes visible in detail. More huts. More smoke. More movement. Children step outside. They stretch. They blink into the light. They do not know words like empire. They do not know words like conquest. They know warmth. They know hunger. They know the rhythm of their parents' voices. And that rhythm continues. Day after day. Year after year. Time moves slowly here. Very slowly. Seasons pass. The river floods in spring. It recedes in summer. It carries silt. It nourishes fields. The settlement grows. Another hut appears. Then another. Wood is replaced with stronger timber. Mud walls are reinforced with stone. Paths become clearer. More defined. Voices become louder. Markets begin to form. At first, they are small. A few exchanges. Grain for milk. Wool for clay. Conversations are short. Direct. Uncomplicated. Trust is built in repetition. Faces become familiar. Names are remembered. Rome is not yet Rome. It is simply a place. A gathering. A habit of living together. And habits grow stronger over time. Stories begin to circulate. Around evening fires. About two boys once found by the river. About a she-wolf. About destiny. The story is told quietly. Then retold. Then shaped. Each telling adds weight. Each repetition adds meaning. Romulus. Remus. Names spoken softly at first. Then with certainty. Children hear the story. They imagine the river carrying more than water. They imagine it carrying fate. The idea of boundary forms early. A line drawn in earth. A space marked as ours. That idea settles into memory. And memory becomes identity. Years pass. Leaders emerge. Not kings in golden crowns, but figures who settle disputes, who organize defenses, who decide when to build and when to wait. Walls begin to rise. Low at first, then higher. Stone placed carefully upon stone. Each piece heavy. Each piece deliberate. The act of building becomes ritual. Men lift together. Set together. Step back. Observe. Adjust. Build again. The wall does not grow in a day. It grows in patience. Rome learns patience. It learns that strength does not require speed. It requires repetition. The river continues to move. Always moving. Never rushing. As the settlement expands, the sound changes. Where once there was only wind and water, now there is metal striking stone. Hammer against chisel. Wood being shaped. Animals being guided through narrow paths. The first sense of structure appears. An open area where people gather. A space that will one day be called the Forum. But for now, it is just ground. Hard-packed earth. Feet press into it daily. Conversations rise into the air. Arguments too. Disagreements are settled slowly. Voices do not shout for long. They lower. They reason. They consider. Time stretches. Rome does not hurry its decisions. And that slowness becomes foundation. The idea of shared rule develops gradually. Leadership rotates. Authority shifts hands. Not through chaos, but through agreement. Two leaders at a time. Two voices balancing each other. Debate becomes tradition. Tradition becomes stability. Outside the settlement, threats appear. Neighboring tribes test boundaries. Small skirmishes occur. Nothing legendary. Just tension. A fence broken. A field disputed. Men gather shields. Stand together. Return home. Life resumes. The sheep must still be fed. The grain must still be harvested. War does not replace routine. Routine absorbs war. This is Rome's quiet strength. Conflict comes. Conflict passes. But the rhythm remains. Wake. Work. Build. Defend. Rest. Wake again. The river remains. The hills remain. The smoke rises every morning. Children grow into adults. Adults grow into elders. Stories pass down. Each generation adds another layer. Another stone. Another memory. Rome expands beyond its first hill. Another rise is settled. Then another. Paths connect them. Bridges begin to form. Wood at first. Then stronger materials. The river is no longer obstacle. It becomes artery. Movement increases. Trade becomes more organized. Exchange becomes expectation. And expectation creates planning. Planning creates structure. Structure creates endurance. Rome is still small. But it is no longer fragile. It has learned how to remain. Pause here. Let the air cool again. Imagine the settlement at dusk. The sky turning from gold to deep blue. Fires lighting one by one. The sound of conversation softening. Animals settling. Wind moving lightly between walls. No one knows they are building an empire. They are only building tomorrow. And tomorrow. And tomorrow. The river continues. Always. Slow. Steady. Unconcerned with crowns or titles. Only movement. Only flow. And Rome, quietly, grows beside it. The settlement is no longer only a cluster of huts. It has weight now. It has memory. It has expectation. Morning arrives as it always does. Slowly. Without announcement. The sky lightens over several hills now, not just one. Smoke rises from many roofs. The sound of footsteps on packed earth is more frequent. Rome is larger. Not grand. But certain. 2 consuls now preside each year. Their names change. But the rhythm does not. The Senate gathers in a simple structure. Stone benches. Open space. Light entering from above. Men in plain garments at first. Later, garments with subtle marks of rank. They do not shout. They speak in measured tones. One rises. He speaks about grain supply. Another responds about defense of a nearby border. Another suggests delay. Another suggests caution. Debate is slow. Very slow. Voices rise. Then soften. Hands gesture calmly. Hours pass. Nothing dramatic happens. No applause. No sudden decisions. Only consideration. Outside the Senate, life continues. A baker kneads dough. His hands press and fold in steady rhythm. Press. Fold. Turn. Repeat. Flour dust rises in small clouds. He does not think about foreign tribes. He thinks about timing. If he waits too long, the bread will not rise properly. If he rushes, it will be dense. He understands patience without naming it. Nearby, a potter shapes clay. The wheel turns. Slowly. Steadily. His hands guide the form upward. Too much pressure and it collapses. Too little and it spreads. Balance. Always balance. Rome is learning balance. Between power and restraint. Between growth and stability. In the marketplace, goods are arranged in careful rows. Olives. Grain. Fish. Fabric. Buyers examine slowly. Coins change hands. Not many. But enough. Children weave between stalls. Laughter bursts briefly. Then fades. The sound of a distant hammer reminds everyone that construction never fully stops. The city expands in layers. Stone over stone. Street over street. Paths become paved. Ruts become smoother. Drainage improves. Small engineering solutions emerge quietly. Water is redirected. Bridges strengthened. Nothing glamorous. Everything essential. Outside the city, the legions train. Not yet the massive forces of later centuries. But organized. Disciplined. They stand in lines. Shields lifted together. Step forward. Step back. Turn. Advance. Retreat. Over and over. The sun climbs higher. Sweat forms beneath armor. Dust rises around sandals. An officer walks the line. He says little. He watches posture. Watches timing. Corrects with minimal words. Discipline is not loud. It is consistent. The soldiers eat together. Simple food. Bread. Cheese. Olives. Water. They speak quietly of home. Of fields. Of small concerns. They are not conquerors of the world. They are protectors of boundaries. And boundaries matter. Rome begins to push outward. Not in massive waves. But in careful steps. A neighboring village resists taxation. A small force marches. There is confrontation. Shields collide. Voices shout briefly. Then silence. The village is absorbed. Not destroyed entirely. Integrated. Roads extend further. Roman habit replaces local habit. Gradually. Rome grows through absorption. Not just destruction. Back in the city, the Senate debates again. Now about expansion. Should they move further north? Is the cost worth the gain? Arguments stretch into afternoon. Light shifts across the stone floor. Shadows lengthen. Some senators grow tired. But they remain seated. Deliberation is duty. Eventually, a decision forms. Not unanimously, but sufficiently. A vote is taken. Hands raise. Hands lower. The decision passes. Slow growth continues. Evening returns. The marketplace empties. The baker closes his door. The potter wipes clay from his hands. The soldiers return to barracks. Torches are lit. The city hum softens. Above, the sky deepens into dark blue. Stars appear. Rome rests. But even in rest, Rome plans. In distant regions, tension rises. Carthage watches. Ships move across the Mediterranean. Trade routes intersect. Competition sharpens. Rome builds ships. Learns naval tactics. Adapts. Slowly at first. Clumsily. Then more effectively. War begins not with thunder but with preparation. Wood being shaped into hulls. Ropes twisted tightly. Sails mended. Men trained to row in unison. The rhythm of rowing mirrors the rhythm of marching. Left. Right. Pull. Release. Pull. Release. Consistency wins battles before they begin. When war finally erupts fully, it is long. Years pass. Victories and losses trade places. Rome does not collapse when defeated. It rebuilds fleets. Raises new legions. Trains again. Carthage burns eventually. Smoke rises once more. The Mediterranean grows quieter. Rome stands taller. Wealth flows inward. Grain from Sicily. Silver from Spain. Goods from distant coasts. The marketplace expands. The Senate grows more complex. New families rise in influence. Old families guard their status. Politics deepens. Not louder, but more intricate. Whispers in corridors. Quiet alliances. Private dinners. Soft negotiations. Meanwhile, ordinary life continues unchanged. A child learns to write simple letters. A mother prepares a meal. An old man tells stories of earlier wars. The city breathes in cycles. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Conflict abroad. Routine at home. Years turn into decades. Rome's footprint expands across Italy. Then beyond. Roads stretch farther. Straight. Deliberate. Engineered with care. Stones placed tightly together. So tightly that grass struggles to grow between them. Travel becomes easier. Information moves faster. Orders spread. Messages arrive. Rome becomes network. Not just city. Network means resilience. If one part weakens, another supports it. The legions now number in thousands. Training intensifies. Shield walls lock. Commands echo across fields. Yet most days remain uneventful. Guard duty. Maintenance. Repairing armor. Digging defensive trenches. Routine is stronger than battle. Routine shapes identity. Inside Rome, debate intensifies as territory grows. Governance becomes more complicated. Taxes must be managed. Governors appointed. Reports received. Documents written carefully. Records kept. The act of writing becomes power. Ink on parchment. Names recorded. Laws drafted. Rome learns bureaucracy. Not glamorous, but enduring. The sun sets once more. The Tiber reflects red light briefly. Then darkness. The river flows as it always has. Unconcerned with treaties. Unaware of Senate votes. It moves. Constant. Steady. Rome, beside it, grows more confident. But still patient. Still methodical. Still deliberate. The empire is not yet vast. But its foundations are now firm. Stone set deeply. Habits reinforced. Discipline internalized. The night air cools. The city rests again. Torches flicker along stone walls. Guards walk slowly along the perimeter. Footsteps echo softly. One step. Then another. Measured. Unhurried. Rome sleeps. But not carelessly. Never carelessly. The Mediterranean is calm. Its surface stretches wide and blue beneath an open sky. Ships move slowly across it. Wooden hulls creak softly. Sails pull against the wind. Far to the south, Carthage prepares again. Far to the north, Rome prepares too. War does not begin with shouting. It begins with planning. With counting supplies. With sharpening metal. With quiet instructions passed from one officer to another. Hannibal stands before mountains. The Alps rise high. White with snow. Silent. Unforgiving. His army waits behind him. Men shift their weight from foot to foot. Breath visible in cold air. Even the elephants seem uncertain. The mountains do not move. They simply exist. Hannibal moves forward. Step by step. The climb is slow. Very slow. Ice beneath sandals. Ropes pulled tight. Men slipping. Then rising again. The cold bites skin. The wind cuts through fabric. But they continue. Days pass. Then more days. Rome hears rumors. Whispers of an army crossing impossible terrain. In the Senate, debate thickens. Is it true? Can such a crossing be real? Some dismiss it. Some grow uneasy. Outside the city, farmers continue working. Fields must still be harvested. Children must still be fed. Life does not pause for rumor. Then the news becomes certain. Hannibal has crossed. Battles follow. Lake Trasimene. Cannae. Fields filled with dust. Metal striking metal. Shields splintering. Men falling. Rome loses. And loses again. Silence fills the Senate chamber. No shouting. No panic. Just heavy quiet. Rome does not surrender. It does not rush. It adapts. New generals are appointed. Strategies change. Avoid direct confrontation. Stretch the enemy thin. Time becomes weapon. Years pass. Hannibal remains in Italy. But not victorious. Not advancing further. Rome rebuilds armies. Replaces losses. Trains new soldiers. Stone by stone. Man by man. Eventually, Carthage weakens. The war shifts south. And at last, Carthage burns. Smoke rises into the sky once more. The Mediterranean grows quieter. Rome stands alone upon its shores. Victory feels heavy. Not triumphant. Heavy. Because expansion brings responsibility. Grain must be transported. Taxes collected. Governors appointed. Administration deepens. Back in Rome, wealth flows inward. Gold. Silver. Slaves. Exotic goods. The marketplace expands. Buildings grow taller. Homes of the elite become grander. Columns appear. Marble replaces rough stone. But with wealth comes imbalance. Small farmers struggle. Large estates spread across countryside. Slaves work vast lands. Citizens drift into the city seeking stability. Crowds gather in narrow streets. Voices multiply. Political tension grows. Not loudly, but steadily. In the Senate, speeches grow sharper. Some demand reform. Land redistribution. Debt relief. Others resist fiercely. Tradition must be preserved. Order must be maintained. Arguments stretch long into evening. Torches flicker. Faces glow in orange light. Words echo off stone walls. No immediate solution emerges. Outside, generals gain influence. Their armies loyal to them personally. Not abstract ideals. This shift is subtle, but powerful. A soldier who owes his land to a general feels loyalty deeply. Deeper than law. Deeper than Senate decree. One name rises slowly among these generals. Julius Caesar. He is not the loudest voice. He is not the richest man. But he is patient. He observes. He aligns himself with powerful allies. Pompey. Crassus. An informal alliance forms. Power shared quietly. Deals made in private rooms. Smiles exchanged in public. Caesar secures command in Gaul. A distant region. Cold forests. Rivers wide and untamed. He marches north. The legions follow. Years of campaigning unfold. Tribes resist. Battles are fought in mud and rain. Wooden fortifications rise overnight. Bridges are constructed across rivers. Roman engineering demonstrates precision. Caesar writes about his victories. Clear prose. Simple sentences. Reports sent back to Rome. The people read. They imagine him heroic. Steady. Victorious. His name grows. With each campaign, loyalty deepens. The soldiers trust him. He shares spoils. Rewards bravery. Remembers names. In Rome, some grow uncomfortable. The Senate watches carefully. Too much popularity is dangerous. Too much loyalty concentrated in one man is unsettling. Eventually, tensions sharpen. Crassus dies. Pompey and Caesar drift apart. Old allies become cautious rivals. Letters are exchanged. Formal. Cold. Caesar is ordered to relinquish command. To return without his army. To stand vulnerable before political enemies. He hesitates. Not long. But long enough. He approaches a small river. The Rubicon. It is narrow. Unremarkable. Water flowing quietly over stone. He stands at its edge. Behind him, soldiers wait. They say nothing. They know the law. A general must not cross into Italy with troops. The air feels heavier than usual. The river does not change. It continues moving. Indifferent. Caesar steps forward. Sandals touch shallow water. One step. Then another. The decision is complete. Civil war follows. Not explosive. But inevitable. Cities choose sides. Families divide. Pompey retreats. Armies move across familiar landscapes. Fields once planted with grain now trampled by boots. Dust rises into the air. Battles clash and end. Pompey falls in distant lands. Caesar returns to Rome. Power consolidated. He is named dictator for life. Reforms begin. Calendars adjusted. Debts reorganized. Veterans settled. But unease remains. Whispers circulate. Is he becoming king? In Rome, kings are remembered with bitterness. On a spring day in 44 before Christ, senators gather. The chamber fills. Light filters from above. Caesar enters calmly. Familiar faces surround him. A petition is presented. Then another. Then hands grip his toga. Blades flash briefly. Metal glints. Movement is sudden. Then stillness. Caesar falls. The chamber is silent. Footsteps retreat. Blood darkens stone. Outside, the city does not immediately erupt. It waits. Uncertain. Power has been removed. But not replaced. The river continues to flow. As it always has. Indifferent to human ambition. Rome does not scream after Caesar falls. It inhales. And waits. The streets remain open. Markets still trade. Water still flows from fountains. But something invisible has shifted. A space exists where power once stood. And power does not like empty space. A young man watches carefully. Octavian. He is not physically imposing. He does not shout. He does not rush into the Senate demanding authority. He studies. He listens. He observes who speaks too loudly. Who hesitates. Who fears instability. Caesar's name still carries weight. Octavian carries that name now. He uses it carefully. Not aggressively. He aligns himself with Mark Antony. And Lepidus. Another three-man balance of power forms. Not stable. But functional. Proscriptions follow. Lists of enemies. Names written calmly. Property seized. Rivals removed. It is not chaotic. It is methodical. Power narrows. The Mediterranean becomes the final stage. Mark Antony turns east. Toward Egypt. Toward Cleopatra. The Nile moves differently than the Tiber. Wider. Slower. Golden light reflecting on its surface. Antony's presence there unsettles Rome. Octavian understands perception. He frames Antony as distant. As distracted. As no longer Roman in spirit. Preparation unfolds quietly. Ships are built. Crews trained. Oars move in rhythm. Left. Right. Pull. Release. Pull. Release. The Battle of Actium arrives not as thunder, but as tension stretched thin. Ships maneuver across calm water. Commands are shouted. Arrows arc through sky. Flames rise from decks. Smoke thickens the air. Wood cracks. Sails collapse. Then slowly, decisively, the battle tilts. Antony flees. Cleopatra follows. Octavian remains. The sea grows quiet again. In 27 before Christ, Octavian returns to Rome. He does not call himself king. He does not declare dictatorship. He does something more careful. He appears to restore the republic. Powers are returned publicly. Titles are accepted reluctantly. He is given a new name. Augustus. Revered one. The empire begins not with spectacle, but with subtlety. Under Augustus, Rome breathes more evenly. The army is reorganized. Legions stationed permanently at frontiers. Not wandering. Not competing for loyalty. Stable. Disciplined. Borders solidify. Roads extend further than ever before. Straight lines cut across landscapes. Measured in miles. Marked with stone. Travel becomes predictable. Merchants move goods from distant provinces. Spices. Grain. Wine. Marble. The city itself transforms. Augustus famously claims he found Rome brick and left it marble. Temples rise. Columns align in symmetry. Public spaces widen. The Forum gleams in sunlight. But beyond architecture lies something quieter. Routine. The Pax Romana settles over the empire. Peace not as absence of conflict, but as expectation of stability. Years pass without civil war. Decades pass with consistent leadership. In distant provinces, governors send reports. Taxes collected. Roads maintained. Small rebellions suppressed swiftly. Most citizens never see battle. Most days are ordinary. In Rome, a baker wakes before sunrise. He prepares dough. Press. Fold. Turn. Repeat. The same movements performed yesterday. And the day before. He does not think about Egypt. Or Gaul. He thinks about heat. Timing. Consistency. Across the city, a teacher instructs children in Latin letters. Wax tablets scratched carefully. A. B. C. Lines repeated. Mistakes corrected. Knowledge spreads quietly. In the Forum, a merchant arranges goods in neat rows. Olives polished lightly with cloth. Coins counted slowly. Customers greeted politely. Stability makes small ambitions possible. A shoemaker repairs worn sandals. Leather stretched. Thread pulled tight. He hums softly. Outside the city walls, a legion stands on the frontier. Perhaps along the Rhine. Mist rises from the river at dawn. The soldier wakes at the sound of a horn. He does not leap up. He rises steadily. Armor is lifted piece by piece. Belt tightened. Sandals secured. Formation assembled. Inspection conducted. Commands delivered calmly. Training begins. Shields lock. Step forward. Step back. Turn. Advance. Retreat. Hours pass in repetition. Sweat forms beneath metal. But there is no enemy in sight. Only routine. In the afternoon, he repairs a section of wall. Stone lifted. Mortar applied. Position adjusted. Even soldiers build. Even warriors maintain. As evening falls, he stands watch atop a wooden platform. The forest beyond the river remains still. Birds settle in trees. Wind moves gently through leaves. He listens. To nothing. And that nothing is success. Because peace is measured by quiet borders. Years continue to flow. Augustus ages. Succession becomes question. When he dies, Rome does not collapse. The system holds. Tiberius follows. Reserved. Distant. But administrative machinery continues. Documents move. Taxes flow. Orders reach distant provinces. Caligula rises next. Youthful. Erratic. Power reveals fragility. His behavior unsettles elites. He is removed. Quietly. Claudius follows. Unexpected. Scholarly. Administrative reforms deepen bureaucracy. Britain is invaded. Roads carved into foreign soil. Nero ascends. Artistic. Impulsive. In 64 after Christ, fire erupts in Rome. Flames spread through wooden structures. Smoke fills streets. People run. Water carried in buckets. Shouts echo briefly. Then exhaustion. The fire dies. The city rebuilds. Again. Always rebuilding. Time moves. Emperors change. Stability fluctuates. But the idea of empire remains. Marcus Aurelius sits beneath a military tent. Candle flickering beside him. He writes reflections. Meditations on duty. On mortality. On restraint. Outside, soldiers prepare for battle. Inside, the emperor contemplates virtue. The empire is at its widest reach. From Britain's cold edge to Syria's warm horizon. From North Africa's sands to the forests of Germania. And yet, beneath this vastness, tension gathers. Slowly. Very slowly. The vastness of Rome begins to feel heavy. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. But gradually. Marcus Aurelius dies. And with him, a certain balance fades. His son Commodus rises. Young. Restless. Less disciplined. The empire does not collapse. It wavers. A subtle shift in tone. A slight instability. After him, emperors change quickly. Too quickly. Some rule for years. Some for months. Some for weeks. Armies proclaim new rulers. Other armies reject them. Messages cross provinces announcing one emperor. Then another. The structure still stands. But the rhythm is uneven. On distant frontiers, soldiers continue their routines. They wake. They train. They repair walls. But whispers reach them. Another emperor crowned. Another emperor dead. The coin they are paid with changes faces. But the metal feels the same in their hands. Inflation grows. Currency weakens. Markets adjust prices quietly. Merchants count more coins for the same goods. Life continues. But with slight strain. Across borders, tribes test defenses. Germanic groups press along the Rhine. Persians advance in the east. Rome responds. Always responds. Legions move. Fortifications strengthen. But the cost increases. The empire is large. Very large. Perhaps too large. Diocletian emerges. A soldier emperor. Practical. He sees what others hesitate to admit. One man cannot manage this vastness. He divides rule. 4 rulers. 2 senior. 2 junior. Power distributed geographically. Not divided in spirit. But structured for survival. The empire adjusts again. Administration deepens further. Tax systems formalize. Occupations become hereditary. Stability pursued through rigidity. Constantine rises in the turbulence that follows. He fights rivals. Consolidates control. Wins decisively. He makes a choice that alters direction. He turns east. Byzantium is chosen. Rebuilt. Expanded. Renamed Constantinople. The city rises strategically. Protected by water. Positioned between continents. Walls constructed thick and high. Markets flourish. Trade routes converge. The center of gravity shifts. Gradually. Christianity, once persecuted, gains favor. Churches appear beside older temples. Symbols change. Language of power evolves. The empire transforms from within. In the West, the structure grows thinner. Population declines in some regions. Military pressure increases. The Visigoths. The Vandals. The Huns. Movement across borders accelerates. Cities shrink. Trade contracts. In 410 after Christ, Rome itself is sacked. Not destroyed, but shaken. The psychological shift is immense. The city once thought eternal has been breached. Yet life continues. People rebuild. They adapt. In 476 after Christ, the last Western emperor is deposed. Romulus Augustulus. A name echoing beginnings. Romulus. Augustus. The title removed quietly. No grand explosion. No thunder. Just transition. The Western Empire dissolves into successor kingdoms. But in the East, the story continues. Constantinople stands brilliant beneath sunlight. Hagia Sophia rises in the 6th century under Justinian. Its dome vast. Its interior luminous. Light pours through high windows. Mosaics shimmer. Gold leaf reflects candlelight. Justinian codifies Roman law. Organizes centuries of legal tradition into coherent structure. The law outlives armies. Outlives emperors. Centuries pass. The Eastern Empire contracts and expands in cycles. Persians challenge. Arab armies surge. Territory is lost. Then stabilized. The city survives. Because its walls are strong. Because its diplomacy is careful. Because its gold is persuasive. Merchants still cross its markets. Silk from the east. Spices from distant lands. Voices in many languages echo through narrow streets. Time moves differently here. Slower in appearance, but steady beneath. In 1204, even crusaders breached the city. Looting. Fragmenting authority. But even that wound does not end it. The empire recovers partially. Smaller. Weaker. But alive. By the 15th century, only fragments remain. The city and its immediate lands. Walls still stand. But cannons grow stronger. In 1453, the Ottoman army surrounds Constantinople. Large cannons positioned. The air shakes with each discharge. Stone trembles. Walls crack. Defenders move tirelessly. Repairing breaches at night. Fighting at dawn. Days stretch into weeks. Food grows scarce. Hope thins. On the final morning, the gates fall. The last emperor dies in battle. No crown recovered. No body displayed ceremonially. The city changes hands. The political lineage of Rome ends. But Rome itself does not vanish. Its law remains foundation for future legal systems. Its roads still form skeletons of modern highways. Its language lives within Romance tongues. Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Romanian. Its concept of Senate survives in governments. Its architectural forms copied for centuries. Columns, domes, arches. The idea of structured authority persists. Return now, once more, to the river. The Tiber flows as it always has. Before kings. Before republic. Before empire. After fall. After transformation. The water does not remember battles. It does not remember debates. It reflects the sky. Morning light again spreads across its surface. Mist forms gently above it. No marble. No legions. Only quiet movement. Imagine the shepherd again. The woman with the clay jar. The children stepping into early light. The smoke rising. History feels large. But it began small. Very small. With repetition. With routine. With patience. Rome did not become vast overnight. It accumulated. Stone by stone. Habit by habit. Decision by decision. And when it faded, it did not explode. It thinned. It shifted. It transformed. The river continues. Slowly. Very slowly. Let the footsteps fade. Let the Senate grow silent. Let the clang of shields disappear. Let the marble soften into dust. The water moves. Steady. Unhurried. And you drift with it. Breathing slowly. Listening to nothing urgent. Nothing pressing. Only the quiet memory of a city that once believed it was eternal. And perhaps still is. In roads. In language. In law. In thought. The river flows. The light rises. And history settles into silence. Rest now. The empire is quiet. The river remains. And the morning begins again. If tonight's story helped you unwind, or drift a little closer to sleep, feel free to subscribe for more calm explorations of the past. We'll be here whenever you're ready.